Is that good?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
They're coming off. Welcome to the Buckeye Tailgate Show. I'm your host tonight, Eric the Bear Banks, and I am ecstatic to be along with you on this evening. We are going to talk college football playoffs. From now until the end, that's 60 minutes away, and all we're going to talk about is college football. My team that I have up here today, we are so excited. We've been working on this. Ever since the Buckeyes got in, we have been making sure that we are prepared to bring to you tonight the scores, not the scores because we don't know those yet, but how well each team will do against the other teams. We're looking at Michigan playing against Georgia. We're looking at TCU going up against Ohio State. Now, on the team with me here today is I have Tom Griffith. Thank you, Tom, for being here today.
Thanks, man.
Rock and Ruth. Oh, I'm sorry, Rock and Ruth. I have to say that for Ruth because, you know, during our tailgate all year long, we've been talking about food. Ruth has always been there for us on the food side. So, Ruth, good job on those sides, but we don't have Dave here today to bring the guacamole. So we should have brought the guacamole. But Stephanie's here. Stephanie's stepping up for us. Stephanie White, thank you for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Ruth Furman, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Eric the Bear.
Are you guys ready? We're ready. Let's jump into this. Let's look at the top 4 teams that are being played by the coaches poll because they were voted in by the coaches poll. So let's look at the top 4. Who do we have at number 1, Tom?
Them Georgia Bulldogs.
Arr, arr, arr.
You know, Stetson Bennett, quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs, responded to a question recently. The question was, why do you respond so well in big games? And he pretty much said, it's kind of easy when you don't have a choice. Stetson Bennett, former walk-on, led the team to a national championship last year. Obviously, Georgia Bulldogs defending national champions. And Stetson Bennett really has become, the quintessential leader for that team. He took home some hardware this year. Got an award for being that walk-on player, kind of like Baker Mayfield a few years back.
Right.
But coming into this, if I look at weeks 9 through 14 of the college football playoff rankings, Georgia's almost always been at the top. Now, we opened up, week 9 with Tennessee at number 1. And what did Georgia do? They went out and promptly beat them the next week and then didn't look back since. All right, they've been to the playoff 3 times. They've been to the finals twice, and they took home some hardware last year. So, lots of good things coming up. Big time challenge for the Buckeyes. We're going to bring in some consultants to talk to us a little bit about some players to look for. But defensive side of the ball, Jalen Carter, Nazir Stackhouse are pretty NFL ready. And then you got the 2 tight ends on the offensive side of the ball for Georgia, Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington, and I think Darnell's running 6'8", 280. So that's a big man. That's a big man. So they're bringing it. We got to see if Ohio State can rise to the challenge, but we're going to hear from some coaches and players and see if they can.
Griff, also though, Georgia didn't just walk through the league. They had a couple tough games.
Yeah.
They were behind on a couple games.
Yep. I mean, that SEC championship game might have given a blueprint on how to, attack a team like Ohio State. So.
Well, congratulations to them for being named number one in the nation. Now we're going to take a look at number 2. To bring in number 2, it's really difficult for me to say the name of this team, but since we're talking number 2, let's talk about Michigan.
Let's talk about Michigan.
Man, we
got some people that do not like Michigan. Okay,
there's a lot of us that don't.
Io. Even though I have to cover the Michigan Wolverines, let's talk about the Big Ten championship that they won against the Ohio State University. Now, they did play a good game, offensive and defensively, beating every team, even after the 28 years over OSU. Mm-hmm. This time, they won. It was easily scheduled strength for them to be 4th ranking. But a lot of things on the schedule that they shouldn't have won. A few games that I feel like they shouldn't have won. 3rd most recipient of postseason awards in the CFP. So then it's just more that the veterans in the playoff world. So now that we got Michigan's 3rd best history in the college football playoff with 2 semifinal appearances.
Well, Ruth, just one thing quick. Michigan did beat Purdue for the Big Ten title.
Yes, they did.
That's how they got in, even though they were ranked number 2. So, that was great that they did what they do to be named or ranked number 2. So Michigan did do a good job, but they didn't beat Ohio State to move into the championship game. They did beat Ohio State to move in the championship game, but the Big Ten
was Purdue. Yeah, absolutely. And their runnings is great. Just the running, the way they're able to cover the ball from air to ground is what TCU should look out for. So, Wolverines, I don't know what you got going on, but I hope you guys do a good job.
Well, thank you, Ruth, number 1. But speaking of the number 3 team, that's TCU, Texas Christian University. I happen to have Texas Christian that we're going to talk about, and I'll tell you what, everybody always goes for the underdog. They always go for the small guy. But in case of a fire, who do you want that firefighter to look like? You want a big guy coming in to rescue you. Well, in this situation, the big guy for TCU is going to be Coach Dykes, Sonny Dykes, and Max Duggan. Max Duggan was number 2 in the race for the Heisman Trophy. So he is a very qualified quarterback. And Coach Dykes, this is his first year actually being this high up. His father, though, was a coach at coach at Texas Tech. So there is a lot of football history in that family. So what I like about Coach Dykes is he allows his players to play. You know, you've got certain things that you've got to do, but he's like, if you're yelling and screaming and enjoying each other, come on, let's go, get on the bus, get on the bus. If you get on that bus, we might be able to win this whole thing. No one expects TCU to win this, except TCU.
Yep.
So as we move forward, TCU number 3, who is in that number 4 position? Well, they needed some help to get there, but they did get there. Stephanie, tell me about those Buckeyes.
Well, the Ohio State Buckeyes, led by Coach Jason Day and quarterback C.J. Stroud, finished their season 11-1 and 8-1 in the Big Ten. They moved into 4th place because USC lost to Utah in the Pac-12 game on Friday night, which opened the doors for them. They had 3 non-conference they had 3 non-conference games. Notre Dame was their toughest, and they beat, their best win was against Penn State 44-31, and their worst loss, we all know, was Michigan 45-23. C.J. Stroud and 4 other teammates were
No, you're good. You're doing great.
Were the All-Americans, voted All-Americans finalist, and Marvin Harrison was the first wide receiver in Ohio State history to be voted unanimously as an All-American. C.J. Stroud was nominated for the 2nd time for the Heisman Trophy. Fortunately, fell a little short to the quarterback.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah. So fell a little short to him, but he still got time to get that trophy up under his belt. So.
Well, so I take it, my panelists, my team, we are all ready for some great football.
Let's do it.
Yes, do it.
Okay, before we move on to the next segment, I want you to understand these gentlemen who are out there playing, the first thing that recruiter said to them, I'm going to make you bigger, faster, and stronger. Can I get you to the next level? If you listen to what I'm telling you to do and do what I tell you to do, there's a great opportunity that you will be seen on Sunday. We have Fred Wheeler in the house that's going to come up, and he's going to talk to us about what you at home can expect to see come Sunday. We'll be right back on Score on Air Network.
One of the coolest parts of my life is learning from Bob McGilligan, getting, especially with commentary, getting to learn the little ins and outs and getting to commentate games with him. It was just some of the coolest experiences of my life.
Broadcasting the ASWA shows gave me the opportunity to experience what it's like and gave me the confidence to start my own business and basically do it myself.
I would say some of my favorite moments in emphasis were the basketball tournament games. They're just such a different environment to high school basketball, especially in the tournament. You know, you're always playing for love of the game, but you love it a little bit more.
My experience in the Sports Emphasis program was something that was essential to me. We got to do live broadcast. We've done it all. We did football, basketball, baseball, and from anything from commentary to behind the scenes to just running the scoreboard. We just did it all. Any kind of value in production you could possibly have, we did it, and that was just so essential to where I'm at now.
An unlimited connection to others, and a platform for you. Social media is where you can thrive. If you have a passion for media, either on camera or behind the scenes, Ohio Media School can change your life in just 8 short months. Learn from the pros and get the skills you need. Start creating engaging social media content about what you want. You can get paid to create. It starts by visiting beonair.com. Call Ohio Media School Columbus at 614-723-9675.
My name's Julian Jackson, and I came to the Ohio Media School in January of 2021. with a dream to go into broadcasting. My experience included intermission reports for OHSAA hockey and a lot of the teams in Central Ohio area. I was contracted to do track and field through NFHS. There was not a call that I didn't answer to be on air. And saying yes was my key to success. My experience there after my graduation from the Ohio Media School opened many doors for me. One of those doors happened to be the Big Noon Kickoff Show with Fox Sports. Started off as a runner, looking to continue doing everything that I'm doing, and now I'll be going back to work the NFC Championship. Not only that, I've had calls with WNKO and WHTH of Newark. I was running play-by-play and color commentary for their game of the week, Friday Night Football, and there wasn't a team in that county I didn't cover. I saw multiple teams on multiple occasions, made new contacts, made new friends, new partners, and new relationships with people that I know are going to be long-lasting, because it's not just what you can do, it truly is who you know. If you come in and you want to leave on time and you want to get there on time, it's not going to be the place for you. You're going to have to take sacrifices, and sometimes you're going to have to sit back and say, you know what, I have to get this done. And not just done, but finished. Networking is a very important part of your experience. You don't find every day instructors like the voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Bob McElligott. You don't find guys who've worked inside of the production trucks for large broadcasts like Adam Dell. The experience of the instructors here is top tier. If you decide that you do want to start a program at the Ohio Media School, don't beat around the bush. Go all in. Be all in. You've got to invest it. You've got to lose weekends. You've got to lose time with friends. You've got to miss weddings. There's all sort of events that I had to say no to, and then after that 6 months, I was able to do it again. But for 6 months straight, it's a commitment that you're going to remember forever.
Welcome back to the Buckeye Tailgate Show. I'm Eric the Bear Banks with your host here this evening. I've got my team, but we've actually added one member to our team, Fred Wheeler. Fred's going to talk to us about what you can expect to see from these young men who are working so hard on Saturday to be able to play on Sunday, and not only be able to play on Sunday, to get paid. You know what I'm saying? We want to get some paper over here to these young men who have worked so hard. Thankfully, they won't have to pay for their college education, but they're going to want to be putting some money in the pocket. Fred, welcome this evening. How are you?
I'm glad to be here. How are you tonight?
I'm supercalifragilistic and ready to roll.
Great.
Fred, this is what, I find interesting. To go to the next level, it takes a lot.
It takes, there's an old phrase that I've heard a million times, 10,000 hours to become world class at something. From the time these guys started playing football in Pee Wee League to junior high to high school to college, that's every game, every practice, every weightlifting session is preparing them to jump to the next level. And we're starting to see we're seeing these guys over the last several years, over the last 10 years, right. We're seeing players become much more NFL ready, especially at the quarterback position. It used to be that 3 years was what you expected before you could reasonably put a quarterback in and expect production at the NFL level. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody's not producing by year 2, it might be time to draft a new one. We're seeing that in New York with Zach Wilson, and we're even seeing hearing that a little bit about that in Chicago with Justin Fields.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, speaking of Fields, and let's talk about Ohio State. What type of players can we look forward to see on Sunday from the Buckeyes?
Well, there's 3 players. One of them, unfortunately, will not be playing in the college football playoff, Jackson Smith and Jigba. He only played 3 games this year, caught 5 passes. For me, I think he might be the most technically polished receiver in this draft.
They talk highly about him.
They do. The downside is we've only ever seen one productive season from him, and he had Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, first-round picks, playing on either side of him. It's not difficult to see why some people are like, yeah, but
right
when they're talking about where he might go. He was originally, at the start of the season, projected to be a top 10 pick.
Rose Bowl game last year was
the Rose Bowl game was Well, it was record-setting.
Yes, it was.
But right now it looks like he's fallen more towards the middle of the first round, maybe the top of the bottom third of the first round.
Could he move up, though, going to a combine, for instance?
Going to the combine and showing off speed and hands and all of that good stuff and interviewing well could always move him back into the top 10. We saw that kind of last year. We had Thibodeau, Kavion. I'm kind of blanking on the name a little bit from LSU.
Right,
He basically played none of the year with a foot injury. He played the first, I think, 4 games, missed the rest of the season with a foot injury, and then was still drafted, I believe, number 3 or 4 by the Houston Texans. So it's absolutely possible he could still jump back up into the top 10.
Now, you said there's 3 at Ohio State that you're looking at. So we got the first receiver. Who we got next?
The next one, C.J. Stroud. He's probably going to be, if not the first or second, certainly the third quarterback drafted. Now, I will say I would like to see him come back for another year, not because I'm an Ohio State fan, but because I feel that just those 2 years, I want to see that third year. I want to see him complete the cycle and work out all the kinks in his game. Because right now, when he's pressured, he gets a little toesy. He starts bouncing on his toes, gets flustered, floats the balls. That leads to interceptions.
Right.
You want to see him calm down, get his mechanics in order. He's got a bit of a big wind-up when he throws the ball. So I would like to see him.
For you, Fred. Excuse me.
Sure.
Sorry about that. What do you think that it's more of the case where the NFL recruiters, teams having a history of seeing some of these Ohio State quarterbacks being drafted first round and maybe starting hot and fizzling it out? Do you think that's kind of our opinion of CJ, why we would want him to stay to get more seasoning? Or do you think the NFL might chew him up and spit him out in a sense?
I think that's probably in the back of the minds of every scout. We saw Dwayne Haskins threw 58 touchdowns, looked like a world beater, and just never managed to put it all together. Justin Fields, he ran for 1,000 yards this year, which is great if you're a running back, which he's not.
Right.
I think, it probably is in the back of the minds of every scout. But I think that you also have to take every player individually, one at a time, and see how they pan out.
Yeah.
But just C.J. Stroud is probably going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the draft this year. The third one being Paris Johnson Jr., who actually played offensive guard last year, so it was a little hard to go back a year and watch tape on him because it's not so easy to just say, hey, the farthest offensive lineman to the left.
Yeah.
Love the line.
He's got a great he's athletically gifted, probably not just for a man of his size, but just anyone.
I could see him dunking a basketball.
He's got great athleticism. He's got great leadership. He will have to work a little bit on recognizing stunts and twists with the line that confuses him at times. But really, you're probably going to see him drafted the bottom third of the first round, top third of the second round.
Do you think his multi-skill set would bode well as he enters the draft?
I think
that guard tackle sort of combination.
I think that it probably will, because the more positions you can play, the better off you're going to be. It's nice to be able to look at tape and say, yeah, he's not working out as a left tackle.
Right.
Let's kick him inside and let him just worry about the guy who's right in front of him.
Yep.
He's got great foot speed.
He does.
He moves along the line very well. Both feet are always facing upfield. Good drive blocker, and did quite well run block too.
Yes.
Now that we've looked at Ohio State, and I'm with you as far as those 3 going, I also would like to take this opportunity. CJ, stay. Okay? You ain't got to go nowhere. Just stay. Stay one more year. I'm good. And come on over. We got a picnic that we can hook up for you. We'll take care of you here on the Ohio State Tailgate Show. We're going to take a look at, what was I going, Michigan?
Yes, sir.
We're going Michigan.
So what about those Michigan Wolverines?
Well, Michigan, they've got some good players of their own, mostly on defense. Now, the upside is that they've got DJ Turner, who's going to have to play against Quentin Johnston in the TCU matchup. That's going to be probably one of the matchups that's going to decide that game. At the end of the day, that's going to help decide that game. Then you've got Mozzie Smith at defensive tackle. When we were off the air, somebody asked, hey, he's playing mostly as a nose tackle or just off the nose in Michigan's defense. Could he play as a 4-3? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. He will have to work on his pass rush moves. Right now he's got a bull rush, but the upside is that he doesn't give up. His motor runs hot, and he continues to play until the whistle.
Okay. How do you feel about him moving into that 4-5 slot on his?
Hey Stephanie, real quick, let me ask you a question, Fred, about Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie Smith.
Excuse me. Is there any red flags with the recent, off the field concerns? I mean, I know recruiters, they say that that comes out at the combine during interviews, and I thought he interviewed well at media day. I think it humbled him, honestly. As a Buckeye fan, I felt that he was being pretty genuine about the circumstances.
Yeah.
But do you feel that might help or hinder? Or
I don't think it's going to hurt him. It was, for those of you who have kind of forgotten, he was pulled over. He had a concealed handgun on his. I don't believe it was on his person. I believe it was in the front seat of the car. I actually found it on YouTube. I watched the court proceedings where they were telling him, hey, you can leave the state with the Michigan football team, but you got to stay in the state otherwise. Yeah. No driving to Indiana or Ohio or anywhere like that.
Toledo.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to hurt him. He's actually I don't know if it's quite ironic, but the thing about it is that he had actually already applied for his concealed pistol permit. So it was just a matter of paperwork hadn't quite gone through. And that's why I think in the end you're probably going to see either probation, probably even suspended probation.
Okay. Thanks, Fred.
Mm-hmm. Fred, first of all, Steph, are you done with the Michigan team?
Yeah.
Well, the number one team in the nation should have quite a few people playing on Sunday, right?
Yeah. I believe they had 5 drafted in the first round last year. I think all of them defense. So you'd think that would take away a lot from their defense this year. Not quite so much, because they've still got Jalen Carter, number 88. We talked about him off the air. This is a guy who is so talented, so ridiculously talented, that there was talk that if he had come out last year, he would have been the first overall pick over Trayvon Walker.
Wow.
Another Georgia Bulldog.
Another Georgia Bulldog. So you had 2 defensive tackles from Georgia drafted in the first round last year, and this guy came back, and he might be the first overall pick, depending on who's taking him, and how the GM feels in the morning when he wakes up.
Yeah.
He's a guy, he can play anywhere along the line. He's not so oversized as a defensive tackle that he is stuck as a defensive tackle.
Just run blocker,
he
gap
can
stopper.
Still play outside against a tackle. He went to the same high school as Warren Sapp, and Warren Sapp even noted, hey, this guy's better than I was. I was a tight end at 225 in high school. This guy's doing these things in high school. He was a basketball player in high school. We talked about the athleticism of Paris Johnson Jr. Jalen Carter has that same kind of athleticism.
Well, speaking on that, staying on the number one team, Georgia.
I did have a follow-up, with Georgia, and I kind of think about this for all you Beatles fans out there. Ringo Starr, all right? What I mean by that, Kaylee Ringo is going to be covering Marvin Harrison, who's the star, okay? So, Ringo on Star, I kind of would give my, tip my cap to Marvin on that one, just from, a paper matchup. But is Christopher Smith their safety, and also a potential threat?
He is absolutely going to be. He not only is he good as a safety, and he can play either free or strong. They also play him down in the box. They play him as a slot corner. He is literally becoming. He's one of those players that we're seeing the NFL really love hybrid, to take that jack of all trades, that Swiss Army knife player who you think, man, he really needs to gain a few pounds, and then you see him flying around the field knocking people down, and he's just doing everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you're absolutely going to see Smith make some plays in this game. It's going to be I'll say that I think for Ohio State, it's going to be a game where they're going to have to be patient. They're going to have to run the ball probably more than they have in any game this year, and be patient and take those shots downfield when they can suck Georgia up into the box and get single coverage
making the most of those opportunities. Be patient for them when they come, and then when they come, hit it out.
Yes.
Hit it out of the park.
Fred, we just talked about the top 4 teams. Are there other players out there that we should be concerned about? Not concerned about, but hoping that, Cincinnati might pick them up, or Cleveland will pick them up, or the Green Bay Packers.
There are a lot of good players out there every year, in every draft, and some years better than others. But I think that at the end of the day, you're just going to see the draft process go through its motions. The scouts rewatch tape, kick it to their GMs, and the process will just have to take. That's not just the bowl games. It's the Senior Bowl. It's the Combine. It's the individual workouts. That's where you're going to see players make their money.
Yep.
Fred, thank you so much for joining our team today.
Thank
coming
you.
out and giving us, your view on what is up and coming. So, I'm just going to hit this really quick. FanDuel. FanDuel. What does that mean to you?
FanDuel? It's going to mean money for a lot of people, hopefully. But we'll see.
You're going to be our resident handicapper now, right?
I guess so.
That's a new job title.
I was leading to that, Fred. That's why I asked that question. Thank you so much for being with us right here on Score on Air. We'll be right back after the break.
One of the coolest parts of my life is learning from Bob McGalligan, getting, especially with commentary, getting to learn the little ins and outs and getting to commentate games with him. It was just some of the coolest experiences of my life.
Broadcasting the ASWA shows gave me the opportunity to experience what it's like and gave me the confidence to start my own business and basically do it myself.
I would say some of my favorite moments in emphasis were the basketball tournament games. They're just such a different environment to high school basketball, especially in the tournament. You're always playing for love of the game, but you love it a little bit more.
My experience in the Sports Emphasis program was something that was essential to me. We got to do live broadcast. We've done it all. We did football, basketball, baseball, and from anything from commentary to behind the scenes to just running the scoreboard. We just did it all. Any kind of value in production you could possibly have, we did it, and that was just so essential to where I'm at now.
An unlimited connection to others, and a platform for you. Social media is where you can thrive. If you have a passion for media, either on camera or behind the scenes, Ohio Media School can change your life in just 8 short months. Learn from the pros and get the skills you need. Start creating engaging social media content about what you want. You can get paid to create. It starts by visiting beonair.com. Call Ohio Media School Columbus at 614-723-9675.
My name's Julian Jackson, and I came to the Ohio Media School in January of 2021 with a dream to go into broadcasting. My experience included intermission reports for OHSAA hockey and a lot of the teams in Central Ohio area. I was contracted to do track and field through NFHS. There was not a call that I didn't answer to be on air, and saying yes was my key to success. My experience there after my graduation from the Ohio Media School opened many doors for me. One of those doors happened to be the Big Noon Kickoff Show with Fox Sports. Started off as a runner, looking to continue doing everything that I'm doing, and now I'll be going back to work the NFC Championship Not only that, I've had calls with WNKO and WHTH of Newark. I was running play-by-play and color commentary for their game of the week, Friday Night Football, and there wasn't a team in that county I didn't cover. I saw multiple teams on multiple occasions, made new contacts, made new friends, new partners, and new relationships with people that I know are going to be long-lasting, because it's not just what you can do, it truly is who you know. If you come in and you want to leave on time and you want to get there on time, it's not going to be the place for you. You're going to have to take sacrifices, and sometimes you're going to have to sit back and say, you know what, I have to get this done. And not just done, but finished. Networking is a very important part of your experience. You don't find every day instructors like the voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Bob McElligott. You don't find guys who've worked inside of the production trucks for large broadcasts like Adam Dell. The experience of the instructors here is top tier. If you decide that you do want to start a program at the Ohio Media School, don't beat around the bush. Go all in. Be all in. You've got to invest it. You've got to lose weekends. You've got to lose time with friends. You've got to miss weddings. There's all sort of events that I had to say no to, and then after that 6 months, I was able to do it again. But for 6 months straight, it's a commitment that you're going to remember forever.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score on Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
Welcome back to the Buckeye Tailgate Show. Eric the Bear Banks, glad that you stuck around with us, because we've got more details coming your way on how you will be able to add your 2 cents worth. And when you get an opportunity to bet, I'm thinking, what do you guys think? Because this game on the Ohio State game could possibly go after midnight. So that would be a New Year's Day. Friends of mine have said you can do in-game betting. What do y'all think about that?
It'll break the internet. I think it's going to break the internet. Ohio will break the internet, I think.
Well, or the French truck will back up.
They're trying to give us that money, okay?
Georgia's given Ohio State 6.5 points, but we'll see how that pans out for the real
those betting odds.
Betting odds, yeah.
Well, thanks, Stephanie, because we will get back to that in another segment, because we definitely want to make sure that we allow our fans to know what could possibly be good for them. But if you win a lot of money, just go ahead and throw it our way, Ohio Media School. But if you don't win a lot of money and you want to blame us, we are not there. You did not hear it on this show. We're going to start talking about TCU first, because the TCU-Michigan game is going to be the first game that is played. So, Ruth, you know, I got TCU. And I think the 1-2 punch for TCU is going to be their head coach, number one, and working with their quarterback, who was ranked number 2 in the Heisman Trophy voting. So both of them being on the same page, I think, is going to give TCU the advantage. Now, you know, a lot of people don't know about TCU because it is a small school. TCU started off as a university for men and women, for leadership, and to learn how to work with people out in the public. And they're still that way 150 years later. So if you've never heard of TCU, it might be a good school for you to look into if you're looking for something else to do. And now the football program, look at what the football program has done. They have come to number 3 in the nation, and not even worried about what they're going to do in this game, because they feel if we play as a brotherhood and we play together, we can beat anybody. We're ready to take them on. I know you got something to say about TCU.
Well, they're coming into this game, you know, Michigan's given them 9.5 points. All right, so I think that number speaks volumes in terms of what TCU will need to do to try to catch up to be sort of at that equal sort of space with Michigan. All right, they play a pretty unique defense, but us Buckeye fans have probably seen it a little bit with Jim Knowles' style. Right, Jim Knowles came from the Big 12. TCU's built, you know, for the conference that they're in. They defend the spread a lot. So you're going to see those 3 down linemen, three middle linebackers, or 3 linebackers in the middle part of that scheme, and then 5 defensive backs, you know, to kind of take care of business on the back end. Well, you have one of those key safeties that we had talked a little bit about in the.
As you say, before the game, before we got up here talking.
Right.
Yep.
That is going to have to make an impact in some way, shape, or form if they're going to stop the run. Because Michigan, they're representing the Big Ten. You know, they're built for the conference that they're in, and you're going to see, a lot of pulling guards, a lot of pinning blocks, pulling tight ends, the whole 9 yards coming from Jim Harbaugh. So their defense needs to, that mirror check, that gut check. What are we going to do to be tough today? Because they're going to be pushed around a little bit.
I agree with you.
Yes, they are. And then speaking of Michigan, if they can establish their running game, control the clock, authorize some big plays, get the quarterback J.J. McCarthy, which he has a heck of a shot, I think they enjoy beating their opponents like up front to their face. So just downright to their face, they can strike air to ground, shown like they did in the OSU game. So that will be their success, is to stay close to the ground. So I hope that TCU took anything from watching the OSU and Michigan game, hopefully that they can keep them contained and keep them back from running. We don't want them to air to ground, because then they will dominate in their success.
Well, and I agree with you. Max Duggan has done a great job that way. Max is going to be the quarterback that's going up against him. He, like I said, took second in the Heisman. He's 22 years old. Last season, I'll tell you a little bit about the young man. He is 6'2". His hometown is from Iowa. He, in 2021, was a second-team All-American academic, which when you got a smart quarterback, that's a good thing, because he's back there and able to look all around the field and figure out what needs to do. He's the coach on the field.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
He personifies Sonny Dykes.
Right.
Yes,
Between
he does.
the two of them working together and being on the same page, TCU has a heck of an opportunity to come out on top. The skill set for Duggan, he has 8s, 9s, and 10s all the way across the board. His career best, he was a 63.9 completion rating that he had out there for TCU. So the man knows how to throw the ball around the field and make sure that his team is scoring. When they get into the red zone, they're not intimidated. They want to go and they want to put the ball in the end zone. I'm going to talk about the running back here in just a second. But that's what I like about TCU right now, and their opportunity and their odds to come out as victorious on this team. Ruth, what do you think about Michigan, the team they're playing against?
I think that I'm impressed really with TCU's quarterback, but really Michigan's a great competitor, so it'll be a heck of a matchup between the Wolverines and TCU.
I think that head coaching battle will bring some flavor too. Sonny Dykes is pretty flamboyant.
Spicy, isn't he?
Yeah, and Jim Harbaugh,
spicy.
we know.
Yeah, Harbaugh's finally making a name for himself in college football.
Yeah, so it's almost like, shoot, we should ask Fred which one of these coaches might be recruited to the NFL next year.
Well, I don't think Harbaugh has to worry about going back to the NFL.
Okay.
I don't think he'll ever go back there. That jump was enough for him the one time. But we haven't talked about this yet. The speed by TCU and Michigan. There's going to be a lot of speed out there on that field.
Yes, it is. It's going to be a lot of running. I hope that Michigan can contain TCU and stop them by doing the air to ground thing. Now, I don't know how TCU's offense will defend against the offense and defense of Michigan. Those guys are ready to go.
Schematically, they like to do a lot of that counter, which is, fake one side but then run to the other side, and off tackle, right? So you're going to have some guards and opposite offensive tackles pulling into the hole that they want the runner to go through. Ohio State did a pretty good job of that in the first half, running the ball.
Right.
Xavier Johnson, Chip Traynham, the whole slew of backs. We kind of took care of that.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, the big plays that Ruth's been alluding to, air and ground, that's what struck them. But I think there's a chance.
Well, that first game is going to be TCU in Michigan. That kicks off at 4 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Okay. So after that game, we will know if the matchup between Ohio State and Michigan will take place or not, if Ohio State's capable of winning. So, Tom, you and Stephanie have our next game at 8 o'clock, which will be the Buckeyes and
Number 1, Georgia.
I don't like them either. Just my opinion.
A chance at redemption. I think that playing in that primetime spot, I mean, they're not going to be sitting in the locker room watching the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but you're going to have the fans. You're going to have that momentum. You're going to have everybody kind of chirping. If that team up north can't prevail in the earlier game, it could add a little bit of flavor, to that adrenaline as they go out to try to take care of business against Georgia.
What do you think after the first game, whoever wins that game, the locker room for the team that won will be like on fire, right?
Yeah.
Don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Right.
But
it's going to be a lot. It's going to be. I think the fans are going to have a ball. So
I kind of wonder if Ohio State will be rooting for Michigan to beat Georgia.
That's what I mean.
If they pull off the win against TSU.
I mean, in the whole history of Ohio State, I can't think of a time where we've lost to Michigan and then got to go to a really nice bowl game.
Right.
Yeah.
There were times where we tied Michigan, right, in the 70s, and then the conference sent us to the Rose Bowl, right? And
Yeah.
Bo didn't like that too much.
Right.
But I cannot think of a time where you're almost backing in to the tournament. You know what I mean? It's like you want to be playing your best ball. You want to be the most complete game, right? You want to do all the things that you recruited for and that you're built structurally to do with scheme, play calls. So I think, not only do all the players want to taste that redemption, and we have some good clips of Ohio State's offense licking their chops. Jim Knowles explaining some things. I just really think it'll be something for Ohio State to consider to put it all together for this game, because you can't get a shot at redemption if you don't beat Georgia.
Right.
And
which is a perfect segue, okay, because we're going to talk about Ohio State, sitting back, watching that game and rooting. That's the only time I can think the Buckeyes will root for the Wolverines. So, and it would be great, buddies of buddies, once again, being able to see each other on the field of battle. That would be awesome. So, let's do a little scenario here and say that Ohio State wins its game. And then they're going against Michigan. Well, Michigan wins first. Ohio State comes out of the tunnel. What's on their mind? Stephanie?
Well, just getting that win, CJ being able to keep the ball downfield and being able to see plays and making plays and getting touchdowns.
So now, don't you think, though, we're in that situation? See, I'm going to be CJ for a moment. I'm coming out of the locker room, and I know that I've got 4 quarters that I have to go out here and I have to play my best ball. After me playing my best ball, along with my brothers at Ohio State, we are on top. Right. So now we know what the scenario is for January 19th. Reverse that. Georgia wins. What's Georgia looking forward to? Would they be looking forward to TCU, or would they be looking forward to Ohio State?
That's a good question. I feel like the confidence exhibited by head coach Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, defensive coordinator, they're thinking, been there, done that, baby. They don't care who's going to be in. If Georgia prevails, I think that this is the national championship game. This Georgia-Ohio State game, I truly feel like there's a reason why it's on at 8 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
And so I definitely think there's a good chance for us to see that.
I agree. I agree. That's got to be the number one game, and you're right. It's on at 8 o'clock at night, and that will keep everybody up and, like I said, popping the champagne at midnight. Happy New Year.
Right.
Steph, what do you think?
Well, if Stroud wants to go off into the NFL this year, at the end of this season, he definitely is going to need this win. So,
on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back in just a few moments on Score on Air.
One of the coolest parts of my life is learning from Bob McGilligan, especially with commentary, getting to learn the little ins and outs and getting to commentate games with him. It was just some of the coolest experiences of my life.
Broadcasting the ASWA shows gave me the opportunity to experience what it's like and gave me the confidence to start my own business and basically do it myself.
I would say some of my favorite moments in emphasis were the basketball tournament games. They're just such a different environment to high school basketball, especially in the tournament. You're always playing for love of the game, but you love it a little bit more
My experience in the Sports Emphasis program was something that was essential to me. We got to do live broadcast. We've done it all. We did football, basketball, baseball, and from anything from commentary to behind the scenes to just running the scoreboard. We just did it all. Any kind of value in production you could possibly have, we did it, and that was just so essential to where I'm at now.
An unlimited connection to others, and a platform for you. Social media is where you can thrive. If you have a passion for media, either on camera or behind the scenes, Ohio Media School can change your life in just 8 short months. Learn from the pros and get the skills you need. Start creating engaging social media content about what you want. You can get paid to create. It starts by visiting beonair.com. Call Ohio Media School Columbus at 614-723-9675.
My name's Julian Jackson, and I came to the Ohio Media School in January of 2021 with a dream to go into broadcasting. My experience included intermission reports for OHSAA hockey and a lot of the teams in Central Ohio area. I was contracted to do track and field through NFHS. There was not a call that I didn't answer to be on air, and saying yes was my key to success. My experience there after my graduation from the Ohio Media School opened many doors for me. One of those doors happened to be the Big Noon Kickoff Show with Fox Sports. Started off as a runner, looking to continue doing everything that I'm doing, and now I'll be going back to work the NFC Championship. Not only that, I've had calls with WNKO and WHTH of Newark. I was running play-by-play and color commentary for their game of the week, Friday Night Football, and there wasn't a team in that county I didn't cover. I saw multiple teams on multiple occasions, made new contacts, made new friends, new partners, and new relationships with people that I know are going to be long-lasting, because it's not just what you can do, it truly is who you know. If you come in and you want to leave on time and you want to get there on time, it's not going to be the place for you. You're going to have to take sacrifices, and sometimes you're going to have to sit back and say, you know what, I have to get this done. And not just done, but finished. Networking is a very important part of your experience. You don't find every day instructors like the voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Bob McElligott. You don't find guys who've worked inside of the production trucks for large broadcasts like Adam Dell. The experience of the instructors here is top tier. If you decide that you do want to start a program at the Ohio Media School, don't beat around the bush. Go all in. Be all in. You've got to invest it. You've got to lose weekends. You've got to lose time with friends. You've got to miss weddings. There's all sort of events that I had to say no to, and then after that 6 months, I was able to do it again. But for 6 months straight, it's a commitment that you're going to remember forever.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score On Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
Welcome back to the Buckeye Tailgate Show. I'm your host, Eric the Bear Banks. Glad to be with you on this Thursday as we are getting you ready for the playoffs that are just right around the corner. Hours away, and we will find out who the new national champion is on January 9th. On January 9th.
Yes.
We are going to break down the bowl games right now. The top, or not the top 6, so we're going to do the bowl games, the 6, the New Year's 6 bowls. That was tough.
Well, so we just gave you previews of the 2 big matchups in the college football playoffs, so that's 2 of the 6. We'll touch on the remaining 4 here briefly. I'll start with the Orange Bowl. And, Bear, will you remind me when they're playing? Is that December 30th?
December 30th, and that game is at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
So, Tennessee versus Clemson. I think Ohio State fans can all appreciate, that Clemson sort of rivalry we had with them for a little bit. They're getting 5.5 points against Tennessee. Both of these teams lost to South Carolina this year.
Right.
So it's a sort of common thread as they're analyzing both teams. I could tell you, interesting, something to watch. Both of these both of these teams will have new quarterbacks in this game. Clemson's quarterback was benched in their championship game against North Carolina, and there was an injury to Tennessee's quarterback.
Okay.
So, ironically enough, we just talked a little bit about Michigan. Former Michigan quarterback Joe Milton will be lacing them up. Yep, for Tennessee. So, 5.5 points for Clemson, Orange Bowl. I'll ask you who you got.
I'm not a Dabo Swinney fan. So I'm a Tennessee. I'm going to go Tennessee.
You going to take Tennessee?
I'm taking Tennessee.
They're giving 5.5?
I'll take that 5.5.
All right.
You're wrong.
Yeah, I'll take Clemson.
Next we have the Sugar Bowl, and we'll see these. We'll probably see some of these teams even before the playoffs begin. But Sugar Bowl, our former favorite Alabama versus the Big 12 champion Kansas State.
And played well. Kansas State, when they played earlier, they played really well. They were in that game all the way. So, when they beat TCU, that was an awesome game.
It was. And I think that the voters recognize that, too, because TCU still made it through the playoff. I mean, there's something for you, the eye test. It's a well-contested game. What a disappointing season for Nick Saban. All right, they were preseason number one. Check this out. They were preseason number one.
No Saban fans
and they were
here.
the most favored team to be number one since the USC Reggie Bush days.
I agree.
Like back in BCS time.
Yeah.
And 2 losses. Now, those losses came on the last play of the game. You can't really script it better than that,
no,
right?
Not at all.
Not
at all. Max
if you're an opponent in Alabama, you're loving that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But it's one of those things, these bowls are midpoints for us. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like our players, trending upward. Is this going to be a springboard for spring practice, right? Or is this going to be something that might take you in that negative space to maybe cycle down a little bit?
Well, I'm pretty sure that Saban's saying whatever we do today is going to set the pace for what we've got coming next season.
And they got the program history behind them, right? So Kansas State, a newcomer, former Big Ten player, although he's not starting for him anymore, but Adrian Martinez, I've been following him a little bit, really was a solid leader for Kansas State over in Manhattan. And so, number 4 scoring offense, that's our Alabama Crimson Tide, and the number 9 scoring defense. All right, so they're going to give 6.5 points. Who you got?
And that's the first game, and that's going to be at noon.
Yeah.
So on December 31st.
Yeah, so we'll get to see that before Michigan and TCU. Steph, who you got in that one? That Sugar Bowl, Bama or Kansas State?
Bama.
Bama.
Oh, wow. Bama. Oh, no, you like
nobody's
Bamas.
opting out.
Bamas.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer.
It is.
I wish you had been here 6 weeks ago when we were talking about Alabama. Alabama needed to stay at home. All season, they never needed to get off the bench.
Yes, our favorite buddy Nick would say that they were bedwetters.
Uncle Nick, that's right.
Uncle Nick
would say they were bedwetters.
Yeah, usually they talk about Michigan that way, but.
Oh, we did them too.
Then we got the granddaddy of them all, the third of the remaining 4 games for our New Year's 6, and that's the Rose Bowl. All right, we got Utah, who beat USC.
Correct.
And we got those Penn State Nittany Lions. We're familiar with them.
Who can never be written off.
I got a little trivia question for all of you here. What conference was Utah in before they joined the Big 12?
The MAC?
No. Ruth, who you got? The Mountain West. The Mountain West. So,
wow.
just put it in perspective. They jumped conferences in 2010 from like that,
like
middle
Appalachian
of the road.
State.
Now they're playing their second Rose Bowl game, So thinking about, these bowl games being jumping off points and how you could solidify your recruiting and your program identity, I really think that if Utah can do this and come out with a Rose Bowl victory, it's that next, cornerstone in their program to build upon.
And Utah is a tough team.
Yeah.
They have recruited, they got Boise State and a couple other schools right around them. So Utah has to do their due diligence to make sure that they're staying on top.
Yep. And then Penn State, a lot of players opting out, for Penn State. If South Carolina hadn't taken care of business that last week of the year, I mean, Penn State would be going to the Citrus Bowl, or another sort of bowl like that.
Yes.
But, you know, even though Buckeyes were saying we wouldn't take the Rose Bowl bid and let Penn State have it, which is disrespectful for those that love the Rose Bowl game. I mean, come on. But Joey Porter Jr. is not playing in this game for Penn State. He was a big one. But number 11 for Penn State, their linebacker hybrid guy, you know, not many people get to wear number 11 for Penn State. I look for him to have a nice game against Utah. But Utah's only favored by 2.5 points. You know, that's like a last-minute drive.
Right.
You know, 3 points to get 3 on the board type of thing.
With
you know,
2 minutes left to go in the game.
Right. So pretty evenly matched. Utah's coming in ranked 8th in the country. Penn State 11. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. I'm going to take the Utes. And then last but not least of our New Year's, of the New Year's 6, and the spotlight here on these 4 that are not playoff games, we have the Cotton Bowl. And that features USC versus who? Tulane. Out of what conference?
Well, I'm just going to jump on USC real quick and say USC is going to be in the Big Ten in 2 years. We're going to go with that. They're telling me I'm running out of time, y'all. So what we got to do, because one of us has a lot of air inside of him, what we got to do is we got to go to break. So what I'm going to do, we're going to come back in just a few moments with our picks on what we think these two important number 2 playing against number 3, number 4 playing against number 1. We'll be right back in just a few minutes on Score on Air.
One of the coolest parts of my life is learning from Bob McGilligan, getting, especially with commentary, getting to learn the little ins and outs and getting to commentate games with him. It was just some of the coolest experiences of my life.
Broadcasting the ASWA shows gave me the opportunity to experience what it's like and gave me the confidence to start my own business and basically do it myself.
I would say some of my favorite moments in emphasis were the basketball tournament games. They're just such a different environment to high school basketball, especially in the tournament. You know, you're always playing for love of the game, but you love it a little bit more.
My experience in the Sports Emphasis program was something that was essential to me. We got to do live broadcast. We've done it all. We did football, basketball, baseball, and from anything from commentary to behind the scenes to just running the scoreboard. We just did it all. Any kind of value in production you could possibly have, we did it, and that was just so essential to where I'm at now.
An unlimited connection to others, and a platform for you. Social media is where you can thrive. If you have a passion for media, either on camera or behind the scenes, Ohio Media School can change your life in just 8 short months. Learn from the pros and get the skills you need. Start creating engaging social media content about what you want. You can get paid to create. It starts by visiting beonair.com. Call Ohio Media School Columbus at 614-723-96.
Welcome back to the Buckeye Tailgate Show. Eric the Bear, along with Tom Griff, along with Rockin' Ruth, and Step Up Stephanie. We have been your panel and your team that's brought you all the upcoming pre-take to the games that you're about to watch going into the end of the year and the first part of 2023. Right now, we got to come up with our picks, and we're going to get on out the door. I got my broom outside waiting. So, ladies, we're going to start with you. Stephanie, step on up. Tell me what you think.
With the Georgia-Ohio State game, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Buckeyes. They got something to prove, and I think that this is going to be the game that they prove it.
Rockin' Ruth?
I actually have the Michigan and TCU game. Michigan at plus 7.5 points. I would have to say that, by God, I want TCU to win so bad, but I think Michigan has the best air and ground ball I've ever seen. That is going to be a heck of a matchup. What are you thinking, Eric the Bear?
Well, first of all, I need Stephanie's take on the TCU game. Steph?
Oh, I think the Wolverines are going to definitely take this all the way to the national championship.
Well, before I give my 2 cents worth on that, I got to go to my partner, Tom Griff, over here.
The Boo Birds are coming. I got Georgia. I got Georgia in their primetime matchup. And I got Michigan winning theirs, too.
Yeah.
So you got Michigan and Georgia
Michigan, Georgia in the final. Yep.
Well, I'm clicking my red slippers together, and I'm saying Ohio State, taking it all. So I want to see Ohio State, Michigan play again. So if
One more time.
the guys
You want
are up
our
there
winner?
listening,
You want our national champion?
I want our national championship to be the Buckeyes. I've been talking about that through the whole
You know
tailgate
what?
party.
That will be the story of the year for the Buckeyes to
Storybook.
have faced off with Michigan, then turn around and these two teams face off again. Wouldn't that be the best New Year's game ever?
Best scenario I could dream up.
Oh, right.
Now, before we go into finishing our segment here, I've got some more guests that are going to come up on our next block. So right now, you guys, the grill is simmering down.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
All the meat on it is done. We're packing it away. We've got our Tupperware, and we're putting things away.
That's right.
I appreciate you. Hopefully next year we'll do the Buckeye Tailgate again. Thank you so
right.
much for being with us. Thank you for being with us. We've had a great day. I'm Eric the Bear Banks. Thank you so much for being with us.
One of the coolest parts of my life is learning from Bob McGalligan, and getting, especially with commentary, getting to learn the little ins and outs and getting to commentate games with him. It was just some of the coolest experiences of my life.
Broadcasting the ASWA shows gave me the opportunity to experience what it's like and gave me the confidence to start my own business and basically do it myself.
I would say some of my favorite moments in emphasis were the basketball tournament games. They're just such a different environment to high school basketball, especially in the tournament. You know, you're always playing for love of the game, but you love it a little bit more.
My experience in the Sports Emphasis program was something that was essential to me. We got to do live broadcast. We've done it all. We did football, basketball, baseball, and from anything from commentary to behind the scenes to just running the scoreboard. We just did it all. Any kind of value in production you could possibly have, we did it, and that was just so essential to where I'm at now.
An unlimited connection to others, and a platform for you. Social media is where you can thrive. If you have a passion for media, either on camera or behind the scenes, Ohio Media School can change your life in just 8 short months. Learn from the pros and get the skills you need. Start creating engaging social media content about what you want. You can get paid to create. It starts by visiting beonair.com. Call Ohio Media School Columbus at 614-723-9675.
One of the coolest parts of my life is learning from Bob McGalligan, and getting, especially with commentary, getting to learn the little ins and outs and getting to commentate games with him. It was just some of the coolest experiences of my life.
Broadcasting the ASWA shows gave me the opportunity to experience what it's like and gave me the confidence to start my own business and basically do it myself.
I would say some of my favorite moments in emphasis were the basketball tournament games. They're just such a different environment to high school basketball, especially in the tournament. You know, you're always playing for love of the game, but you love it a little bit more.
My experience in the Sports Emphasis program was something that was essential to me. We got to do live broadcast. We've done it all. We did football, basketball, baseball, and from anything from commentary to behind the scenes to just running the scoreboard. We just did it all. Any kind of value in production you could possibly have, we did it, and that was just so essential to where I'm at now.
An unlimited connection to others,
I've brought some other people in that taste buds need to understand what I'm grilling, and when I'm grilling, you'll need to come over to the crib. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what y'all think about the game. I got Red. What's up, Red?
What's up? What's up with it?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Hey, you a football fan?
Somewhat.
Okay, so you can give me your expert opinion on this, though, right?
Definitely.
I got you. Stig, what's up, bro?
What it do? What it do?
We doing it.
Yeah.
We doing it. And then on this side, I got Sean. Sean, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Supercalifragilistic. I need to know you brothers know a little bit about playing football, right?
Of course.
Both of y'all look like y'all can hoop. But you know how to catch that pitch,
No, that was my first love.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Now, tell me. We're going to start with Sean. What's your prediction for the games coming up?
For my predictions for the games coming up is I'm obviously for the Ohio State and the Georgia game. I bleed, scarlet, gray, and red. Got it tatted on my forearm right here. So I'm obviously going to go for Ohio State all day, every day. And when it comes to Michigan and TCU, I'm hoping TCU can get the upset victory over Michigan. I might still be a little salty over what happened in late November. That's just my problem.
You and my boat.
Yeah, exactly. Most definitely, So, I even got the Band-Aid on, because it hurts still a little bit. I had to leave that on a little bit.
So you're still young. I had to get the ace bandage. You know what I'm saying? I got to get some support. That was so hard. That was tough.
I understand
that. Was a tough loss.
Nah, for real. No, but really.
But what do you have score-wise? What do you think the game between Ohio State and TCU? What do you got score-wise?
So Ohio State and Georgia, I have it's gonna no problem. I have it gonna be a tight game. I know the Bulldogs are gonna show up. They're the #1 team in the nation and defending champs for a damn good reason. They have a really good defense and a really productive offense, and them boys are going to go out there and give it everything they got. But, I also think, if you're from the state of Ohio, you understand we them boys.
Right,
so I also think, since Utah won and we got our foot in the door, I don't think we're going to let that opportunity go. But I got it. Let's say I got Ohio State 33. I got Georgia at 28.
Like it. Who do you have winning all of it?
All of it. I have TCU playing
Ohio State?
Michigan. I have TCU playing Michigan. I have Michigan winning that just because of the way they handled us in the second half of the game there at our place at the Shoe. I have Michigan running away with it at least 35-20. Sorry, TCU fans, but I got the Band-Aid if you want to use it. For my last prediction for the last game was
Ohio State and
who you think gonna win the national championship altogether?
All together?
Yes.
I think it's gonna be Ohio State and Michigan because I just think that's just too sweet of too sweet of an opportunity to pass up, and I think it's gonna solve a lot of things. But all in all, I have Ohio State and Michigan in the finals. Ohio State 35, Michigan coming up short 25.
Excellent.
Wow. For me, I'm from Houston, so I'm not going to say I'm really an Ohio State fan, but I did watch the game versus Michigan, and I was rooting for you guys. So I was a little upset, when we lost, so, I was a little salty about that. But for Ohio State versus Georgia versus them Bulldogs, overall, I think it's going to be a really good game. Not going to lie, I would love to see Ohio State versus Michigan, so I do want Ohio State to win, but I just feel like them Bulldogs, man, them dogs, they just be, you know what I'm saying, they just too tough. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a really close game. As for TCU versus Michigan, TCU, that's Texas, that's my state. You know how we do it big. I know a couple players for TCU, Tay Barber. I know number 19, that's my stepdaughter's boyfriend, so got a lot of ties with TCU. But one thing about TCU versus Michigan, I feel like it's going to be a really good game because they both got really good quarterbacks. So I think it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to really be come down to the wire, who wants it more. Because, like I say, they both have really good quarterbacks. So I think that TCU versus Michigan is going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be really, really close. So I don't know. I can't really call it. Well, I guess we just got to watch it and see. Now, I know we all want to see Ohio State and Michigan in the national championship. That'd be like a dream come true.
Yes.
But a lot of people going to be like, dang, is it fixed if that happened like that? But, so I don't know. I think we just got to see because I can't really call it. I just know TCU and Michigan game going to be a good one. And Ohio State and Georgia, I feel like the Dogs gonna run off with it.
Red, I got another question for you.
What's up?
I need scores. Because before you do that, though, the reason I'm asking you that question is FanDuel starts January 1st.
Okay.
Betting here in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So I need your prediction. I need help. I need some help. I need to get it from every corner I possibly can grab it from.
I really think it probably be I think it might be a low scoring game. So I'm probably gonna go
I'm going to go, I'll go Georgia 21, and then I'll go Ohio State 19.
So should I bet the over-under, or should I bet the under-over? If there is such a thing.
I mean, I don't know. Like me, if you're an Ohio State fan, I would put my money on Ohio State. You know, you got to lead with your heart. So, but I think it's going to be a good game. Me, I'm not really an Ohio State fan, and I just feel like their quarterback is a little, pretty boy. He going to have to come out. They going to have to show up and put up. They going to have to put them dogs up, if they really want it.
Stick, I see you smiling. I see you over there going, hey, my turn.
It's Ohio State's time, man. I feel like actually we really needed that as an Ohio State fan. I feel like it was good that Michigan put a whooping on us this year, and we got the taste of defeat. And also, they've been kind of on the down for so many years, so they got a couple under their belt now, and it's like it'll be a good lick to knock off the #1 team and then have a chance to see them in the end to even get a sweeter victory. I think it's the most exciting part for me. Going into this weekend. But for my picks, I would go Ohio State versus Georgia. I definitely got to go Ohio State. My score that I'm thinking is more like 35-40. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Ohio State is going to figure out some of the offensive things that, been slowing us down the past couple of weeks, and I feel like Georgia is weaker on the pass defense, so we got a advantage that everybody don't think we have, because they're such a good team. Their comeback is crazy, just like TCU.
Right.
So a lot of stuff just goes under the radar of their weaknesses, but they easily get exposed. Everybody had weeks to prepare, and I think we'll show up the best that we can as far as Ohio State goes. So I got, like I said, Ohio State 40-35 over Georgia. That team up north, man.
Y'all funny.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I actually think this is a really interesting game. I think it's going to be a really good game. Like I said, it is a pretty good quarterback duel. I think the better quarterback is at TCU, personally. But
Max Duggan is quarterback at TCU.
What makes me feel like TCU is going to get the win is they know how to play close games. And if it's a close game, then I got TCU taking it. But my heart wants every bit of Michigan to go ahead and roll. So if it's going to be a win, it's going to be Michigan. Michigan big, maybe 30-13. 17.
Last question. Stig, national champion. Who is it?
Ohio State Buckeyes all day, every day.
Red?
TCU, baby, all the way, Texas.
Sean?
The Ohio State Buckeyes.
I'm on page with Sean. Hey, like we do at all of our barbecues, I got to-go plates. So make sure y'all get to-go plates. We're going to go into 2023 rocking. Make sure you stay tuned to Score on Air so you can get all your scores and all your updates each and every day right here with us. Thank you so much for hanging out with the Bear on the Buckeye Tailgate Show.
Peace.
All right, see y'all later.
Yeah.